Well, hi everybody, and welcome to Bold Carnivore. I'm sitting down with Meeting Wellness. She's Christy. Hello, Christy.
Hello, Matthew, Bold Carnivore. Nice to see you today. Yeah, we're
Nice,
ready.
nice to be here. Yes, absolutely. We are indeed ready. So, Christy, would you mind just giving us a brief overview of how it is you found carnivore?
Yeah, so it's so funny because I kind of think of myself as an accidental carnivore. There's a lot of people out there that choose carnivore for a very specific reason. Like maybe it's an autoimmune condition or, something that they want to heal. My friend Ellie from Nourishment Redacted for her rosacea, things like that. They choose a very specific diet for something like that. And that is definitely not how I got into carnivore. So I started, like so many of us carnivores, on keto back in February of this year, just only with the intention of I got to lose this 20 pounds. This 20 pounds that I've been gaining and losing and gaining and losing since I was 15, and I'm currently 47. So that's a lot of years of gaining and losing that same 20 pounds. And I didn't know anything about diet and nutrition. Like I thought I did, right? Like the whole calories in, calories out, eat less, move more. That's all you got to do. And protein is 4 calories per gram, and fat is 9, and got to stay away from that. And carbohydrates are 4. So let's eat those things that are 4 and stay away from the big bad fat one. And that's kind of what I knew about nutrition. And I just went about it by just kind of starving myself, and then couldn't starve myself anymore. I'd binge, gain that 20 pounds, and then starve myself again to lose it. And so I was just going through that horrible yo-yo dieting cycle, super unhealthy. And in February, it was no different, right? I was still there. And I thought, well, I haven't tried keto. Let's do keto, but I knew nothing about it.
Mhm.
What was different this time is I went on a Facebook group for keto, and somebody there mentioned Dr. Berry. And so I know, look at you smiling, because like so many of us, there I went right down the rabbit hole, right? For like 3 months. Dr. Berry,
Mhm.
Dr. Berry, Dr. Berry. And so, I mean, very quickly, it didn't take me too long listening to him speak that I switched over to the correct way if anyone's going to do keto: the heavy meat, whole foods, no processed foods, get rid of the seed oils, keto. At that point, though, I still was mostly just thinking of it as I'm going to lose weight, right? And so I did lose weight on keto from February through about May. I lost that 20 pounds, and it was just that I've always liked steak. I could always eat more steak than my husband, let's say. And so the vegetables, just I was just eating less and less and less of them. And then one day I got to, like, I had kind of heard, just because you're watching these influencers, heard about ketovore, and I'm like, like I'm kind of ketovore. Like my carbs are for sure under 10 at this point. And then by June, I was like just eating the meat. And then what happened was that's when all the other benefits kicked in for me. So the
Um,
mental clarity, I thought I was an introvert, but no, I don't think I am. I mean, I might have introverted tendencies, but I had social anxiety that I never even realized, that just sort of creeped up on me. And at the point, even back earlier this year, even I would get invited somewhere and I didn't want to go. Like I was worried about what everyone was thinking about me. I was socially anxious to be around people. And I know you said keep it brief, so I won't keep explaining that, but you're like, go ahead, explain it. Yeah, I didn't, I was just constantly like, what are they thinking? Am I doing something weird? Am I doing something wrong? I didn't want to get into a conversation because how's that going to go? Just constantly worried about what everyone else was thinking, to that so bad that it was like I would go to work and come home, and go to work and come home and sit on my couch. And if I just did those things, I felt okay. But if I even went to the grocery store or went for a walk, like if someone saw me walking, I was like mortified because they saw me, and what if I look fat today, and whatever, like all of those thoughts. And that just like disappeared. To
mhm.
the extent that I, like today, I went and visited an egg farm, a pasture raised egg farm, and like met the farmer and was like, hey, I'm Christy at Meeting Wellness. And we had emailed, but I never met her before. She was a total stranger. And I was like, how you doing? Let's go talk about your chickens. Like I wasn't worried about anything. I was happy to be there, out meeting new people. Same thing in this carnivore community. Like I met you, for example, right, Matthew? Just meeting all the carnivores, and just striking up these new friendships. Like I'm not worried about that anymore. I'm just having a great time. The mental clarity, a lot of people say that. I used to have brain fog, like fighting through the brain fog to just make it through a day.
Hmm.
Um, and now it's like I have all this mental energy, like my brain is working on another level. And I just have space to do all the things. I teach all day, which is, everyone I think would say that that's it's an exhausting and tiring profession, although rewarding, but it does take it out of you. And I used to come home and just be like, ugh, on the couch, like I'm closed. I would tell my kids, I'm closed right now. I'm closed for 30 minutes. Just let me sit here, and I don't have to do that anymore. So I need like 6 hours of sleep or less, and I feel great all day. So like the sleep that I'm getting actually heals me. And I've been taking on fitness challenges. I don't have any more weight to lose. So I've been taking on fitness challenges. We're starting a squat. Me and some other carnivores are starting a squat/push-up challenge tomorrow for the month of October.
Well, fabulous.
So yeah, 100 squats a day. And then
Ouch.
push-ups, I'm like, I can't do 100. No, I could do two, like two push-ups, guys. I'm going for 10 by the end of the month. If I can go and I'm talking on my toes, right? I could do like 20 on my knees. But yeah, I'm going for 10 by the end of the month. That's my goal. But 100 squats a day is what we're going to do. And I'm going to attempt to do it. I just finished up my 30-day sprint challenge. I sprinted every morning for 30 days. I'm not giving up sprinting. I sprinted this morning, even though my challenge is over. Check out my video on that. I did a whole video on like the results I got from that, because there is pretty amazing. So I recommend anybody take on challenges, but I never would have done that before. First of all, I was sprinting up and down my street in front of people, and my neighbors could see me sprinting, gasp, right? Like I didn't care. I would talk to them like, hey, people walking their dog, morning. Yep, I'm out here sprinting.
And that was unusual
So
for you. So
very unusual. No, I would never ever. No, I would have not wanted people to see me run, because I know I'm not an athlete. I don't look like an Olympian out there. I look like a middle-aged lady trying to, run away. I don't know, but I don't care. Like I feel great, right? I'm out there. I felt myself improving, out there, and yeah, people would leave for work and I'd wave, or people, like I said, walking their dogs. One guy stopped and chatted with me as I was catching my wind in between sprints, and yeah, none of that anxiety anymore.
I'd like to have seen
So
that conversation. You've been like, hey, I know you, and I know
yeah,
you don't run unless something's chasing you. So where's the psycho with the knife?
yeah. Well, he had a giant dog. Maybe I was running away from that. No, we chatted about it used to be called the 50-yard. He said he was a sprinter in high school, and it used to be called the 50-yard dash way back in the day. We talked about that. He's a nice guy. And then I did have a few physical things as well, although not as, I had inflammation, not, to the extreme of some people, but things that when I went carnivore, like I had acne, really bad, like cystic acne that would pop up here, gone, I have not had a breakout since June. And they would pop up a couple times a month and then just stay there for, the ones way under the skin that are painful and last a long time and leave that dark mark. Yeah, gone. I had where my right hand, because I'm right-handed and teaching, we do a lot of writing, and then during distance learning, we did a lot of mouse and computer. And at the end of the day, my hand would ache. I don't have that anymore. My right knee would, anytime I did anything other than normal life, like if I tried to sprint or squat, the way my right knee was, it would swell up and squawk at me and complain with, pain. It doesn't do that anymore. So I can sprint, I can squat. I have no problem with that knee. By the end of the day, my ankles and feet used to swell. To the extent that, and I haven't said this before, like it occurred to me. So I used to wear a size 8.5 shoe. Recently, before this, I was having to buy a 9 or a 9.5. Well, now all my 8.5 shoes fit again. Like that's how much swelling and inflammation was in my feet. It's crazy. But yeah, I wore now I have some 8.5 like Nikes that I wore to sprint. I sprinted and I'm fine, no problem. I can get them on my feet, and my toes aren't, hitting the front of the shoe like they used to. So I mean, that's weird and crazy. So yeah, I'm not going back. So I went keto to lose weight. I accidentally went carnivore just because I don't really like vegetables, and now I have all these crazy, insane, awesome mental benefits and a few physical ones too. And I feel like now my body's like, I'm 47, I'm going into the second half of my life, but my body and mind are getting better. They're not going downhill, Like people think, oh, you hit a certain age and you're just going to go downhill. Not
Yeah, what's
true.
up with that?
Yeah,
Why
I
is
don't
that
know what
something we
is up with
accept and
that.
expect? Yeah.
Yes, what is up with that? I saw you on your channel doing pull-ups. I'm like, that I need a bar. I gotta go do some pull-ups. I saw you.
Yeah. That was also one of those things where I'm just like, well, let's see what I got. I mean,
Yeah, that was awesome. So what about you? How did you get into this crazy way of
well,
eating, which
I
turns
was
out
one
to
of
be not so
those.
crazy?
Yeah, it's not so crazy. It's beautiful, in fact, and
Hmm.
I've noticed lots of changes for myself also. My face used to be that about this much wider, and
Wow.
yeah, all the way around it's shrunk up. I ride a motorcycle here everywhere I'm going for the most part, and I may need to get a new helmet because it just doesn't fit anymore.
Rattling around. Give yourself a
Yeah.
concussion.
But yeah, I had to go into this space, not the community, but the community is what drove me forward into it. And that's why I want to get back to the community so much. Because without the community, I would have made the decision to go ahead and commit to full board carnivore. You know, uh, I thought I was just falling apart. You know, hey, life happens. I've worked hard. I played too hard maybe when I was a kid, and maybe I'm just dumb and don't know what I'm doing. And that's a possibility, right? Maybe I just listened to the wrong people, or I didn't, didn't diet hard enough, or I didn't exercise the right way. And now this is broke, and I'll just have to deal with it. So anyway, when your left shoulder is giving out and your elbow is going and the wrist is following, and you've gotten to where going up and down stairs is crazy painful, you wonder, I'm not 50 yet. How is this a thing? And so I thought, well, I, maybe I've taken some chemistry incorrectly or something. I don't even know, right? And then I thought, maybe I can start eliminating some stuff and we'll see what happens. And so I tried giving up coffee for a while, and that was good. It actually helped move out some stuff, like being able to move a little bit more freely. So I still need to give up coffee. I don't know if you do or not, but it's my personal
I'm
addiction is
still
coffee.
holding on to my coffee.
I,
Yep. I like it. I don't know if I'm going to give it up. I feel good, right now. So currently, yes, I still do my coffee.
and I've heard a lot of people do. So I don't know. I'm just going to keep with it and see if I really have to let it go or if I can hang on to it or not. But I know what the experience was the first time I tried it. I tried it for 6 months, and it was good. But then I went back to it, and I don't think that has a serious negative impact, although I could be wrong. So I'm still looking at getting rid of that. But because that small things, and you'd be surprised what a small thing in your mind really is not inside of your body. And so I did that for a while, and then I went back to it. And I got into the carnivore space watching Kelly Hogan and Dr. JV and so many others like Ferrigno Freedom. Yeah, Dante. That dude is awesome. He's just really solid. I started following him when he still had hair, and
Wow.
I know, right? And that's some time ago now. And it was before he transitioned to Lion Diet. I was watching his videos and I was thinking, this dude is so cool. Look at him go. He's just eating steak. Now he's still a little bit round at this point, but it's coming off. And every video, he's looking better and trimmer and fitter and harder. And I'm like, well, maybe I can do that. And so I did. I tried it, and
Yeah.
I went carnivore-ish. It wasn't carnivore proper, and instead of getting better, my body started to fall apart and it accelerated. And that's when I got all the other aches and pains and I gave it up. I went back to standard fare completely. And
Mm.
I was thinking, if anything, at least I can enjoy the moment. And also, I was thinking that it couldn't be any worse than what I am right now. But that's not the case. In fact, it accelerated even more because after doing carnivore ish, I had lost a lot of weight, but I also lost a lot of muscle mass. And so I had no ability to repair the damage, and it just kept getting more compound. I lost a lot of my muscle mass and gained back the weight plus, and so I looked worse than when I started.
Yes.
And after that, I saw some more videos, and then I saw Carrie. Yeah, Carrie popped up, and that was just in that time frame where Carrie had gone full carnivore, and so I started watching his videos and going, Well, I am stupid. That's the problem. I have just done this entirely wrong. And so
Get rid of
I
the
have
rest of those other things, right?
I went back to the drawing board. That's right. I went back to the
Yes.
drawing board and I scrapped everything that I could other than meat and eggs. And
Okay.
there are still some exogenous sugars involved in my diet because around here they cook with it and stuff, and so it's hard to get it all out. But for the most part, I'm down. I'm anywhere between 99 and 98% carnivore every day, all day, and that has been what's changed everything for me. So my shoulder no longer hurts. I can feel that nerve impingement has healed, it's completely gone. Unless I push real hard, I don't feel any pain in that. And then my elbow is 100% now. I can do the push-ups. You've seen that, I'm sure, and the pull-ups. And the feeling in my left hand had gone out from here up to the two end fingers. It was just gone. And I don't even
Wow.
know. Yeah, I mean, I think, dude, I can't feel anything. And then
That's
I was back.
crazy because that's
Yeah.
nerves. Usually nerves take I mean, I would think it's nerves. I'm not a doctor, but you know, and that
Yes.
came back.
Yeah, it was some kind of neuropathy in there. I have no idea what it was. It was tingly. I could still feel temperature, but the sensation of pressure and how hard I was holding stuff, it was gone. Yeah.
Wow.
And now it's back. I can run up and down stairs if I want to. I can jump up and down again. Oh
Yep.
man. And because I don't have the oxalates in my diet, I'm no longer getting kidney stones. So
Wow.
yeah.
That's amazing. I've never had a kidney stone, but I've
Oh, it
heard the
hurts.
stories.
God, it hurts.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's amazing. Well, you mentioned the muscle wasting and that was something and you mentioned Kelly Hogan, so that kind of sparked. So I did a 30-day sprint challenge and the reason I did that was because after I went carnivore, I put on 7 pounds.
Hmm.
And Kelly Hogan experienced something similar where, she put on weight. And with my history of like losing and gaining, putting on 7 pounds, that it's still in there somewhere, right? And I'm like, no, I'm not going to go back to that like place. It's my clothes were still fitting the same. Like in your head, it's muscle and bone, right? But because it has to be, because the clothes aren't tighter, and so I had watched a Dr. Barry video with Dr. Sean O'Mara talking about visceral fat and the benefits of sprinting with that and how sprinting can actually put on muscle. And so I went and I purchased an in-body scale, not that they're 100% accurate, but I think they can maybe track some trends. I also have plans to get a DEXA scan, which I'll talk about more in a minute, but I bought that in-body scale. I hopped on it. I took some initial measurements and then I sprinted every day for 30 days. In that 30 days, I lost 6.2 pounds, but I put on, and I don't have the numbers memorized. I made a video, but I lost 6.2 pounds. And that was mostly fat. My subcutaneous fat went from like 20 something down to like 18 something percent. And my muscle percentage went up. My bone density went up. My visceral fat went down from a 6 to a 5. Just in a month, just sprinting. And I took all the other exercises out. So I had been doing, not that they're bad, but I just wanted to do an N=1. Like, what if the only thing I do is sprint? Like, what's going to happen? Right. So I didn't do any other. I have some weights. I stopped using those. I just sprinted every morning for 30 days. I came to find out about halfway through, you're supposed to take a break every other day. But by then I was like, I got only 2 more. I'm just going to do it. Like, I'm going to power through. And I was sore. Every day. But it got better, toward the end. So I'm currently still sprinting every other day, and I'm going to get on that in-body scale again, like every 30 days just to see what happens. And I'm incorporating, like I said, the squat challenge and push-ups for this month. I'm still going to be sprinting though. But yeah, it's like, it's crazy because I was just holding on to those influencers you mentioned. Kelly Hogan, I just kept thinking about that. Like, this is going to happen when you eat this, the protein and the fat. It's like your body's like, thank you, and it's going to heal. And I know that's what my body was doing. And then I just stuck with it. And that, yeah, it's just getting better and better. It's crazy.
It is. It is amazing how we do this to ourselves. But we do this to ourselves because we've been taught wrong. Now, I gotta wonder, we've been all of us worldwide taught wrong. Some of that's because our parents got taught wrong and they teach us, and obviously we're exposed. But then that's not the end of it, is it? no, we get it offered to us over and over and over again. And not only offered, but proffered, it is pushed. Why do you suppose that is the case?
Um, uh, that is a whole can of worms and a whole history lesson in itself. But I think that there has been a lot of misinformation put out there just because of a lot of various influences, right? From the certain religious groups that thought that eating meat caused sinful things to happen, and so they started pushing a more vegetarian agenda, all the way through to the formation of the American Heart Association, going right hand in hand with, I believe it was Crisco, I want to say, or one of those vegetable oils, basically, giving them, funding them to increase the size of their organization, and all the way over to, Ansel Keys with his study, just basically almost, I mean, flagrantly falsifying his study, like just falsifying the results of that. And when I don't, I've listened to, it's been a while now, but yeah, just you see all the correctly done studies. If you guys go and watch anything by Dr. Berry or Dr. Anthony Chafee, they post those studies. Or who?
Bart K.
Oh, a Bart K, yes. And then the current researchers, there's Eric Westman, and then there's the guy, I never remember his name, but he's really good in Utah. Do you know who I'm talking about, at BYU? He's really good. I wish I could remember his name, but when the research is done correctly and actually in a scientific manner, it basically proves that the food pyramid and all that is just upside down. And every day I see in public schools, I did a whole interview with Alia Wells on this, the sugar pushing. In California, where I'm located, every student receives 2 free meals per day, a breakfast and a lunch. Neither one of them is healthy, but the breakfast is what gets me, because I am not kidding you. It's like a Pop-Tart and a fruit juice, a Pop-Tart and a fruit juice. Or if it's milk, it's 1% milk, or it's fat-free chocolate milk with their Pop-Tart.
Huh?
Yeah, right. Look at your face. Yes. And then they have to come to my class and I get to teach them math.
How?
Right. So basically the current schedule is that breakfast happens at 9:30. So I've got about an hour and 45 minutes before that little sugar, their little sugar break that they get.
Teach them everything important before then, huh?
Correct. I've got to get really a full day of learning into an hour and 45 minutes, because after that, it's going to be much, much more difficult. And because it is free, most of them do take it. And if they take one item from that breakfast, they have to take all the items. So some days there is a cheese stick offered, but if they take the cheese stick, they have to take the Lucky Charms. It's Lucky Charms, or it's Cocoa Puffs. It's all, like what we've heard. It's straight up Kellogg's, General Mills, Pillsbury, pastries and things like that with chocolate in them from Pillsbury.
And it's a government-funded school, or?
It's a government-funded public school. It is not coming from the school district, and it's coming down from the state level and the federal level. The school district does receive 15 cents for every child that they serve a breakfast to. So they do push that program. It's called Breakfast After the Bell. So it's no longer before school, because if a child is tardy, they're going to miss that breakfast. So it was instituted a few years ago, 3-4 years ago, Breakfast After the Bell, to make sure that every child has a breakfast. And I just wish it was an egg, right? That's all. I'm okay with,
one egg.
Give them a hard-boiled egg and a cheese. Why do we have to pump them full of sugar and then send them to class?
How can one egg be more expensive, right? Yeah.
Right. Yes, I don't understand. And if you look at all the school district websites, they'll tell you that all of this food is following the My Plate guidelines. I mean, it's right there. You can go on any school district nutritional services. It's almost laughable that they call it nutritional services. But anyways, the nutritional service page on any school district website, you're going to see all the links to the My Plate, the federal government, guidelines for all of that, all of that stuff. And then you'll
You
see the
know,
menu where it says Pop-Tarts and Lucky Charms and honey bun.
honey bun. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
gum.
Yeah. So
Wow.
I don't know how I mean, I'm not an
Oh, we
expert on
know.
how we got here. I know the broad strokes, if you will, and I think it's a travesty. I wish I had known so much earlier because I have two children and they're older. I have a 15 and a 17-year-old. But I just learned about this, 7 months
Hmm?
ago. But I wish
But
I had
it's
known when
not
they
too
were
late.
growing up. It's absolutely not too late. I'm already trying to incorporate more meat into their diet, just kind of as we go here. But yeah, what do you think about that? About the how we got to this state of affairs?
Well, there was this lovely book written, and it has the title of a year, 1984. Perhaps you've heard of
I've
it.
heard of it. Yes, I've heard of it. I'm
There's this
familiar.
concept in the book. The concept is doublespeak, and that's actually an example of what we're seeing here is doublespeak, doublethink. We know these things are not true, but we have to tell ourselves that they are. We have to hold simultaneously these ideas, and we have to espouse them. We must, because if we do not, we'll be re-educated by that loving service, our wonderful, wonderful, loving servants. Yeah, they are there to serve us, are they? I wonder about that. Seems they serve themselves. Yeah, that's my thoughts on the matter. So they will teach us to think what they would have us to think. And if we do not think the things that we ought to think, we will be shamed till we do. That's my take on the matter. And that's how we
Yeah.
got where we are. We are lax people. We let them lead us, and we want to be led. Why do we want so much to be led instead of taking personal responsibility, especially for the things that we are putting into our mouths? This is a very deeply intimate situation. How are we
Yes.
so divorced from our food?
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing the things that I ate thinking that it was food.
Mm,
It's like just how. And then now that I'm eating properly, it's I'm a whole different person. Like I used to feel like my mind and my body were sort of at war because I didn't want to get fat. So my mind was like, don't get fat, so starve yourself. And my body was like, but I need nourishment, right? And then my body would finally just go, no, and then I would just binge on all the things. They weren't healthy things, but it was like because it was like it needed something. So it might as well be a sleeve of Oreos or a bag of Doritos, or whatever. And I would binge, and then my brain would kick back in and take over. And they were just like, it was like this battle. And like, I was losing,
mm,
and now I feel like one whole person, like I am what a 47-year-old woman should be. I'm healthy. I'm happy. I'm not like, I have food freedom. So I
mhm.
eat when I'm hungry. When I'm hungry, I think about food, or when I'm doing a video like this, I think about food. Um, and then I eat it. I eat my meat. My favorite is picanha. We'll talk about our favorites in a minute, but I ate picanha
Ooh.
today. The sirloin cap, it's my favorite. But like this morning, I had some leftover picanha. I ate 3 slices of that, and that was it. It was early because I went to the egg farm. That was like at 7 a.m. I wolfed that down. And I mean, I haven't thought about food since. I went out there, interviewed the farmer, edited my video, did a few other things, jumped on with you, and I'm still going, and I feel great. And I'll think about food later. I probably will eat one more time. Usually I don't eat this late, but so, you know what? I don't worry about that if the day, like the way the day unfolds, right? So today it'll probably be a little bit later. I'll have a dinner and that's it. But I just think about it when I'm hungry and then I'm satiated. And I didn't know what that word even, like I knew what it was, but I didn't know how it felt to
Mhm.
be actually satiated and feel like, for hours and not feel that constant, like, I got to eat my blood sugar, right? Feeling. I used to get that on the regular, like my blood sugar's low. I got to eat. Yeah, I don't feel that anymore. Even when I'm hungry, I'm not hangry. Do you find that? Like you're hungry, but
I
you're not
do.
hangry?
I really do because it's hard to explain. Now, I'm generally a very chill person anyway, but there are times where things are just like, and I'm going to be upset. I want to be upset. Here I am. I'm upset. You deal with it, right? And I generally don't get that anymore unless the situation is just so far out of my control that it's just impossible. Now, give me just a moment. I'm going to turn off this AC because it's drying my throat out. And the room is already cool, so I'm going to leave it alone.
There you go. You're good to go.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yes, I do. I know how that is and I understand it.
Yeah, it's like I'm not a slave to that. I'm not a slave to that anymore, you know? I call it food freedom. It is hard to explain, like you're saying, but it's like, it's how it should be. You're hungry, you eat, you move on. You don't think about food. I don't crave. A carnivore too is what got me to get rid of my cravings. So even when I was keto, I still had to exercise some portion of self-control because I could binge on some pecans or some, nuts or whatever. Those are bingeable, right?
They
They're
are.
delicious, but I don't eat them
They're also
anymore, and I
fiber.
don't.
So.
Yeah, I don't eat them anymore, and I don't crave them anymore. I don't crave anything anymore. It's just when I'm hungry, the meat sounds delicious, and I go eat that, or the eggs. I do eat quite a few eggs. But yeah, I go eat that, and then I'm not like hankering for some whatever the salty snack is or the sweet snack. I don't crave sweets anymore.
Yeah, that right there. You see that they use that system, salty, sweet. That fools our primal intellect, if you will, into binge eating because the stuff that we're eating from that is basically blood and sugar, right? But how are they getting us to continue to do that? They must know, somebody must know that a starved body is a body starved of nutrition is going to go after something that signals nutrition. Sweet, salty, these things signal high nutrients, but at the same time, a lot of these big companies that produce these highly processed foods are using chemistry against us in such a way that smells and tastes and flavors signal high nutrition, and we can't even really know what part of that is hitting our tongue and firing off different hormone cascades. And our bodies are expecting high nutrition coming in, and
Mm-hmm.
it's not high nutrition, it's just sugar. And then we can eat that, and our bodies crave that nutrition, and that's what's driving us back to it.
Yep. Yep. It's like a vicious cycle. And I think I've heard people refer to that as the bliss point. They know scientifically what that bliss point is. And in their chemistry food kitchens, they cook that up. They cook that up to hit that bliss point, to get that whatever food they're designing, to
Mhm.
hit that bliss point. And they know what they're doing and they're good at it.
And we pay the price while they reap the benefit. Sadly,
Yeah.
even
Yeah.
these people who are on the floor and making this stuff, they're caught in the same cycle.
Yeah. It's sad. So I heard you say earlier that you eat mostly meat and eggs. Can you tell us a little bit more about like what are your favorite foods? What are your go-to foods? What do you eat on a daily basis?
Excellent question. I usually eat anywhere between 8 and 14 eggs in a day. Yeah, this
Whoa.
usually broke up into 2 servings of eggs. And that's not always the case, obviously, but usually. And
Mhm.
I eat lots of chicken because I'm in Indonesia. And so we have chicken on the cheap for the most part.
Yeah.
And I can get a lot of that. And then I also eat beef. There's um, a local market. It's not too far from our house, and it serves up stuff mostly in the evening or at night. And there we can get beef fairly cheap comparatively. And so I use that. Yeah, it's not like prime 100%. Yay, this is great kind of beef, but it's good and
Yeah.
it works pretty well.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, I'm curious about that, how you carnivores in other countries do that. I'm fortunate to, have the whole, meat section available to me. Yeah, I'm basically beef, butter, bacon, egg on a regular basis.
Ooh,
That's not to
butter.
say that I won't eat chicken. I just made some chicken thighs the other night. Bone in skin on chicken thighs. That's my
Mhm.
favorite part of the chicken. They were delicious. I do notice when I eat chicken, I'm not like full for as long. So then I had chicken for dinner, and then usually I don't eat breakfast, but like the next day I for sure ate breakfast because I was hungry
Mhm.
in the morning. Whereas if I've had a big ribeye the night before, I'm usually not hungry until it's my lunchtime at school. So because I'm a teacher, what I do on Mondays is I boil up a bunch of hard-boiled eggs because those are super easy to just grab and take and, you know, eat at school. I do prefer to eat until, as Dr. Berry says, you're comfortably stuffed. But I can't do that at school because our lunchtime is so limited. And so usually I start to get hungry around lunchtime and I want to eat. And it's also a little bit of a social, you know, you sit down with the other teachers and you eat your food together and chat about teacher things. So, you know, I don't want to miss out on that too. So, but yeah, I'll have my hard boiled eggs, usually 2 or 3, and my Redmond's real salt. Everybody asks me about it. What is that? Oh, that's my salt. I tell them. And then probably 2 days a week, I do make my own bone broth, which, oh my, if a year ago you said to me, you're going to be making your own bone broth, I would have said, you crazy. I don't do a lot of stuff. You know, I admire those people. There's people out there making their own lots of things. And I'm a full-time teacher, a full-time mom of teenage boys, you know, and then I've started up this YouTube channel, which I'll talk about a little bit more about why I'm doing that in a little while. We can talk about that too, but I'm loving it. So I'm enjoying it. And so that is taking up a lot of my time. But I do the bone broth that I make is it's like gelatinous. It's just all full of collagen and I love it. So I save all my chicken bones and my ribeye bones from that. I freeze them, throw them in my Instant Pot every 3 weeks or so with just water and a little bit of apple cider vinegar, which the acid kind of helps take the goodness out of the bones. Let that go for 4 hours and this broth is delicious. There's a good like fat layer on the top about that thick. Now, some people take that off, like if it's especially beef, and they'll say, there's my tallow. But like, I didn't even know to do that. I've just been like, you know, when I go to warm it up to eat it, it just kind of mixes in. I just drink that all down. So probably 2 days a week, I'll have a cup of that, a bone broth that I've made with my eggs. But then because it's a kind of a small meal, when I get home about 3:30, that's when I have my real meal. So I'll have usually a big ribeye, or if the ribeye is on the smaller side, I'll do a ribeye and a couple of over easy eggs. But my new favorite is picanha. And I did not think that anything could give ribeye a contest, but picanha, I make one of those every Saturday. And I eat, that's my beef for the weekend, and it's delicious. And it's also called sirloin cap. And it has like, yes, it's got like a fat cap about, I don't know, 1/4 to a 1/2 inch thick over the whole top of this thing. And yeah, it's good. It's really good and tender. And I've got a recipe on my channel. It turns out I'm not a cook or a chef at all. Like I do what's easy, but it's easy and it turns out just perfect every time. So yeah, this time I did tell my husband he could have the rest of it, and I'm regretting it now but yeah, he's yeah, I want to try it because I'm like, no, stay away from my picanha. That's mine.
That's going to be the title
but today
of
I'm
your
going to share. Yes. So we'll see if he thinks
cookbook there.
Yeah, we'll see if he thinks it's as good as I do. We'll see. He hasn't eaten dinner yet, so we'll see if he thinks so. That's basically what I eat. On the weekends I'll do like bacon and eggs for breakfast because I'm home, and I make these carnivore muffins, which are super good. They're like made with pork rinds and butter and egg.
Carnivore muffins. Now, I don't know that I've heard of that before.
Check out my channel. I have like a carnivore recipes. Again, I'm not a cook or a chef, you guys. I adapted. There's a ton of recipes out there for them, and I found them to be too salty, which is weird because like I can eat a lot of salt, but no, I found them to be too salty. So I adapted it to what I feel is the right amount of salt and made one and threw that recipe up there. So, but yeah, it's pork rinds, butter, egg, and just a little bit of baking powder because that's what makes it, you know, be a muffin. They're really good. They're kind of the consistency of a corn muffin. Like they don't taste like a corn muffin, but they're that kind of consistency, if you know what I mean. Like a coarse consistency, but they're delicious. So I'll eat that with some butter, bacon, eggs on the weekend. Yeah, that's my go-to breakfast.
That sounds similar to what the carnivore ballerina does. She makes a kind of a bun for stuff. She puts like beef patties and stuff in between this bun looking thing.
Yeah. A lot of them do that. I want to try that. The butter, it's like Indigo Neely did it, and she made like this egg bread. She added butter, frozen butter to it, which is supposed to just be magic. I haven't tried that yet. I did make some carnivore crepes. Those were good. It was just cream cheese and egg. and you just blend it up really good. Like I don't have a blender, so I just use my like NutriBullet, blended it like really, and then just poured it into like the hot pan, cooked it in butter. Carnivore crepes. Don't sleep on those. Those were delicious.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So you were talking somewhat about how the nutritional system impacts kids. Yeah. And here in Indonesia, it's a little bit different because a lot of the schools are privatized. There are very few that are public. And even though the public ones now, I don't know what kind of food they serve up in because I work in a private school. But you'd be surprised what kind of stuff they can serve up. We have a canteen at the school that I work at, and a lot of the foods there, they're primarily snack foods, prepackaged and pre-made stuff that comes off an assembly line somewhere, and it's basically the same situation in a lot of ways.
Do you notice like that your students' behavior change after they eat that meal? Do you see that?
Absolutely. Now here it's there's a lot of social pressure here for children to behave as they ought to. And so they constrain themselves quite a bit. But especially after or just before meal times, they're already hyper and cranky and lack focus, right? Moving up into their mealtime, and then they go and get their meals, or they eat whatever their parents made for them. Most of them eat rice because this is Indonesia, as I said, and most of them are going to eat rice. And then they have whatever they have on top of that, like chicken nuggets and ketchup or stuff like that. A hot dog here, sausage over there. Not that I would demonize the meat, obviously, but there are definitely additives to that. And that's something to concern yourself with. And most people around here don't. And they don't have the time for it, and they don't have the understanding of it. They just think, well, these people produce the food. It must be edible. It must be safe. And
right.
Yes.
Well, what I've seen, and I don't know if you've seen this, I mean, we have a different culture here. And now it's hard for me to even know where to start. Okay. So there's been a huge uptick. I mean, I teach 5th grade, so they're 10, and I will have kids telling me about their anxiety.
Oh my
When
goodness.
you were 10, did you know about anxiety or feel like you had anxiety? Because when I was 10, I went outside and rode my bike.
I don't know that I would be able to express that word.
Anxiety.
Yeah.
Right. And
When
now
I was
they're
10, I wouldn't have looked at my
well,
teacher and said, I have anxiety.
Right. And they do that. And now we have, parents. There's in the classroom next door to me, there's one, and they're going to go to a meeting, and this parent of this child does not think that this child should ever have to write anything, that this child should be provided with everything written, and that if they do have to write anything, that they can use speech to text, that they should never have to pick up a pencil or type anything because this child has anxiety.
Huh?
Okay. And so that's just one example that's happening in my school right now. And I've had numerous children tell me they have anxiety.
You're in California. I forgot.
California. Yes, sir. But I've had children try to bring in I'm not joking. Like, you're going to think I'm joking. I'm not joking. Emotional support stuffed animal to my classroom. That is a toy. Grade? Yes. Toys are not allowed on campus, and other teachers do allow them. So there are teachers in like I'm Generation X. There are teachers in younger generations that do allow for children to have their emotional support stuffed animal with them in the classroom.
What's the rules?
The rules are no toys from home. But if you don't call it a toy and you call it that it's like for your emotional health, then I don't know, it's up to the teacher, I guess. I mean, I don't allow it. Like, no, take that.
I'm having a nerve thing going on.
Am I blowing up your brain yet? Am I blowing up your brain yet, Bold Carnivore? Because this is what we're up against. This is what we're up against.
My eye is twitching just thinking about that.
I see you holding your eye, like, how?
I'm like, wait. Just stop. Wait. Give me a moment. I got to recover. Whew, I need an emotional support stuffed animal just now.
Where's your stuffed animal, Matthew? Get it and give it a little snuggle so you can continue.
Oh my goodness, that is insane.
Yes. Yep. So this is, and the parents are not, the parents are like, in agreement that, okay, or I don't know how to phrase it, but they're like, they're allowing this to happen, or they're going along with it, or they're, yes, oh yes, my child suffers from this, and so therefore they should not have to academically engage or perform. They're too anxious to do it.
Well, I happen to know a diet that solves social anxiety.
I'm only one person, but I can tell you I had he's laughing. I had a raging case of social anxiety and it is gone. As you can tell, I'm here talking to everybody on the internet right now. I'm not anxious in the least. I'm perfectly fine, feeling happy, feeling confident, not worried about what everyone's going to be thinking of my, performance here today. So yeah, it's like, yeah, I just, it's just really, really gone. I started teaching in 2000, and I even did my student teaching in 1999, and it is a night and day difference. Like, this stuff never would have happened, never would have
Mm-mm.
happened, never would have been entertained, never would have been conceived of in 2000. And now it's frequent. Yeah.
So what happened?
So, like I said, schools, even back in 2000, we were serving breakfast, but it was before school. It
Mhm.
was very optional, and very few kids ate it because it was before school. It was like there, but I don't know. Like, some kids would eat it, but not a lot of them. Now they eat at home because the breakfast after the bell isn't until 9:30. So a lot of them will eat
Mhm.
at home and then come and eat again, and then eat again at lunch.
Mhm.
So they're putting in that sugar. I think this is definitely playing a big factor. I mean, I think diet is a big factor. I also think the culture has changed as well. Um, just in the last, what I've seen, the capabilities of fifth graders. Like, fifth graders used to be capable, more than halfway to adult, could handle their own business, could be organized, could keep track of their work, would not bulk if you assign them to do a page, like write a page about X. Now, if
Mhm.
you ask them to write 2 sentences, that's too much writing. My hand hurts. That's, so it's that's, and it took us how, and what, this is my 23rd year, right? So it took us 23 years to get there. But we've definitely seen a shift in student mindset and parent mindset. But I do
Mhm.
feel like the diet plays a huge role. So when I was doing some research for that interview I did with Alia, and I didn't get to this point, I had a slideshow and I didn't end up showing all the slides, but
Hit it
the
up.
school district, very proudly has this graph of showing the number of breakfasts served, and then over like a 10-year period, how it, like, I don't even know, tripled or something. They're serving, so many more breakfasts now. And that graph ended in 2019. And that was before breakfast after the bell. So I
Huh.
know that it's greatly even increased. That was before breakfast after the bell. So now I know it's even, I mean, if that graph continued to present day, it would be even more. So, and I'm just looking, I mean, before that, there's got to be some parents at home serving some kids some eggs or something, but now they're coming to school and just getting the sugar. And I know that's playing a role. It's not 100% of it. Like I said, the mindsets have shifted. Instead of solving it with diet, we're trying to solve it by bringing in programs like a full-time school counselor so now we have a school counselor full-time on an elementary school campus, and it's not an academic
Mm.
counselor. Like, she's an emotional counselor. We have a program that the teachers are required to teach once a week. That's like emotional lessons, like how to, like, deal with your anxiety, for example, how to deal with conflict and making friends and staying organized, and I'm not saying that those are bad lessons, but I'm saying we're
No.
not trained. Like, I'm not a counselor. I was trained how to teach kids how to do math and read and science. Like, I was not trained in, like, that's not what I was trained for, but yet here I am, put that on the teacher's plate, and now I have to do it. So it's once a week, and then the counselor comes in once a month. So that's 3 hours a month now spent on those types of lessons.
How is it that kids don't learn emotional awareness like that in kindergarten and before and at home and
Yeah, so a lot of the things that really in the past I think fell on the parents to do, it's like they're thinking that that is the school's job to do. So the school here is taking on more and more of that.
Oh, and they happily will too. They happily
Mhm.
will. Remember, this is one of the
Well,
foundational stones of communism, friends. Be aware.
yeah, and but when you see these kids that can't like tie their shoes and they can't, they're not able to like function because their emotions are totally in control of them. As a school system, we kind of feel like we have to do something. Like you can't, I mean, so we're trying to do something, but I don't think it's the
Hmm.
right thing. I don't think it's the right thing. I don't know where we're going to go in the next 10 years. It kind of scares me to think about if it keeps going in the same direction. My students, for example, they know how I eat. They know what my diet is. I am a firm believer. I do make, try to get relationships going with my students. It's not just, hey, learn this multiplication, right? We talk a lot too, like at recess or walking out the door at the end of the day or whatever. What you doing this weekend, that kind of stuff. So they knew about my 30-day sprint challenge. And this coming week, I'm challenging them to a race, to see how many fifth graders I can beat in a straight up race to the fence. And so
Are you
we do
faster than
stuff
a
like
fifth grader?
that. Am I fat? Yes or no? Are you faster than a fifth grade teacher?
That's good.
Yeah.
I
So
remember the TV
yeah,
show, Are
we're
You Smarter? Are you smarter than a
yeah,
fifth
yeah.
grader? And I'm thinking,
Yep,
are
I
you
know.
faster than
That's
a
kind of what I called it on my channel when I'm like, "Are you faster than the fifth grade teacher?" Yeah,
Oh,
it's
I like that.
obviously I can't post the race obviously for privacy reasons, but I'll definitely
No.
when we do it, I'll let you guys know. Next week, my legs were so sore. They knew my challenge was over, and I had them asking, "When are we going to race?" And I'm like, "When my legs aren't sore." But they're feeling better, and yeah, we're definitely going to race next week. So they know, and they I know that they see that I've got energy. Like they know how old I am. They know their parents are younger than I am, and they know how their parents look and feel and act, and they know how I look and feel and act. I can only influence my little sphere, I think. And I'm just doing the best I can, right? Where I am in the trenches.
Speaking of influencing your sphere, do you influence the other teachers around you, or is it unintentional? It's just a byproduct of being yourself.
Wow, that's cool. Because actually, I've been posting a lot of stuff about. So I have this one friend. She's the school librarian. She's awesome, and I've never worked with any other librarian. So when I started in 2000, she was already the librarian, and she's been the same librarian. And so we're good friends. And so when I first started this, and she saw me lose my 20 pounds, she was like, "What are you doing?" And so I gave her like the whole. At that time, it was keto, and I gave her the whole rundown. And she started doing that too, and she's not losing quickly, but she's losing. She's happy. She's doing amazing. And so, and then as I transitioned into carnivore, I talked to her about that too, and I talked to her about the YouTube channel that I started. So she's subscribed and she's been watching me. But here's the cool part: is that I just told her because we were friends. I'm not preaching at her. She asked me, and I shared with her, and we kind of touched base with each other. But two different people on my campus have come up to me and said, "Are you person that's eating carnivore, and what is that, and how can I do it, and what's your channel? I heard you have a channel." Like this one lady I hadn't seen in 15 years. I didn't even know she was on my school side because she works in the preschool and the rest of the elementary school. It's like you just never see each other. Like you wouldn't even know there's preschoolers on my campus because it's just so separated. But yeah, literally it was on at the we have an assembly every year for September 11th. Like we invite the firefighters and any parents that are like you know, a military or former military, and we have like a little ceremony. Anyway, she walked up to me during that and asked me that. And then I told her, I said, I tried to make a meeting with her, but our schedules were so different. I said, "Look, subscribe to my channel." She said, "How do I do that?" She's a sweet
Yeah.
older lady. I said, "Give me your phone. Give me your phone." I showed her how to do it. I hit the subscribe and I, showed her. And then that night I went home and made a quick start guide for keto and carnivore and popped it up there, for her just because I didn't have the chance. We didn't have the chance to meet in person. Another lady from the front office wanted to do the same thing. And I met with her for a good 45 minutes. I told her she's basically eating, standard American. And I said, I suggested she start with like a keto, just start taking those carbs out. Don't go full bore carnivore because I know I had some adaptation symptoms. That's something we can talk about too. I had some adaptation symptoms and I went slowly. I mean, I went through the stages of like keto, ketovore, carnivore, and I still had adaptation symptoms. But I explained all that, keto flew to her, got her going, brought her some heavy cream because she was doing, milk in her coffee, for example. I brought her a thing of heavy cream. But anyways, I told her all about I gave her some examples of like meat she could eat and which vegetables were okay. She's gonna have to cut out. She asked me, how many beans can I have? I said, none.
Not many.
None.
Not many. It's like
not
nothing
green
above
beans.
0.
I'm talking like, I don't know, whatever, like black beans or whatever. I'm like, yeah, none, sorry. Anyway, but so we went through all that for 45 minutes. I made her like a document. I pointed her to Dr. Berry. I pointed her to Ketogenic Woman for some recipes. I'm going to be on Ketogenic Woman's channel tomorrow. You don't even know how excited I am, because I've been watching her recipe videos since I started. So yeah, I'm like, I can't believe I get to talk to her in person tomorrow. Well, I mean, over the internet in person. But yeah, so and then another lady, this one gets me because we're sitting at lunch. It's a teacher's aide. We're sitting at lunch. She noticed that me and my partner teacher, we both eat. My partner teacher is like heavy meat keto. She's not full carnivore. She still has a few vegetables here and there, but we both eat hard-boiled eggs every day for lunch. And we wouldn't normally eat with this woman, but we do this year because we have a student with a severe egg allergy, so we can't eat in our own classroom. So we've been eating in this other classroom. So now all of a sudden she's seeing us like snarfing down our hard-boiled eggs every day. She's like, what are you guys doing? Atkins or something? You guys are always eating those eggs. So the first day we're like, okay, I mean, somebody asked me, I'm going to tell them. So, I told her, and she was nice, right? She wasn't mean or anything. Nobody's been, outright mean, but you could tell she was like, all right, these people are a little bit crazy. But then what's the very next thing she does is she pulls out her 3 pills, and one of them was for blood pressure meds and 2 other meds, honestly, because I was like, so I don't remember what they were, but because I was just like, oh my gosh, this poor lady, like she needs to do this more than anybody. She's eating her standard American lunch and then she's popping her blood pressure medicine and her other 2 medicines. So I didn't say anything.
Eggs are weird.
Yeah, but my eggs are weird. Yeah, right. And here I am on no medications, anyways. But I didn't say anything about the medicine, but in my mind, right, I'm like, oh, good grief, lady. I love this lady. She's an awesome person. I just want what's best for her. But over the course of the next week, she would like ask a few more questions. I would answer. And then she said, I've got blood work with my doctor coming up. And when that's done, I think I'm going to give that diet a try.
Awesome.
After just seeing for a week what we're eating and just asking and talking about it. So am I influencing people in my sphere, like adults? Yes, I am. My mom even went keto about a month after I did. She's still heavy meat keto. She's 70. She's turning 71 in about a week. She the other day decided to go jogging. Like she walks every day, but she had so much energy on her walk. She's like, I think I'm just going to jog.
Awesome.
What 70-year-old do you know like goes for jogs? She's on no medication at all. She was having some arthritis in her hands. She has no more arthritis. She lives in a senior community and she helps all of her senior neighbors like weed their gardens. Like it's amazing. She's planning 2 international trips coming up soon here. So I'm not going anywhere international, but she is. Right? So yeah, I mean, in my sphere of influence, without being preachy, just they'd see the little bit of weight loss. Like I'm not the person who has the 100-pound loss, right? I don't have like Carrie. You mentioned Carrie on Homestead How. Like those people's befores and afters, those are amazing and good for them. Like I don't have that, but I have this incredible change that I just have to talk about. And so when people ask me, I talk about it. And several people are in my, like you said, in my little sphere of influence, it's like we're creating our own little tribe, and hopefully it's going to grow. Hopefully that'll just perpetuate, right? When those people start to show results and get results, they're going to be like me, and like I have to talk about it because they're going to feel so great. What about you? Are you influencing people where you are?
Well, here and there. I mean, it doesn't seem as apparent on my side of things just now, but I'll see, because there are some people who have said, wow, you've lost a lot of weight, or, you look so much slimmer now. What are you doing? And so I've had a chance on occasion to delineate what it is that I've been up to. And maybe someday somebody will get into it.
Yeah, that's cool. So I wanted to talk for a minute about my channel, but first I've been talking for like I said, I go a mile a minute. I want to talk to you about your channel first, because I went on and I was watching some of your things. Like, why did you start a channel, and like, what's your channel about? what's the purpose of your channel?
Well, that is a fabulous question. I set up my channel because, like I said, I wanted to give back to the community in some way because I wanted to document how I felt and how I was changing and whether or not there were any changes. And I started after I noticed some changes. So I already knew that there were some movements towards a better, healthy me. And so I aimed for that. And I was inspired by so many other friends like Dante and then Carrie and Dr. Baker. And Dr. Baker, man, I mean, at his age, and he's setting world records in strength and power. And I'm just like, am I even motivated? And so it's like that meme, dude, do you lift? I'm like, do you carnivore? So I was like, all right, I'm going to do something to get back into the community that I can. And if I can, then yay. And if not, well, whatever. But the community was really open to, my perspectives and what it is I bring to it. And even though I, like you said, I didn't have like 400 pounds to lose, I did have some gains, and I've been able to give back to the community that gave me that leg up. And that's what this channel is about. Is trying to spread the message of eat meat and live. There you go.
Seriously, eat meat and live. It doesn't get much simpler than that. Yeah, mine is kind of the same. So after I, exited the Dr. Berry rabbit hole, not that I don't go back, I still find when he interviews somebody, those are the ones I go to and watch because those are fascinating. Whenever he interviews, some other doctor or expert, I for sure tune in for those. But, after that, then it was like, okay, what else? What else? And, I watched a couple other doctors, like you said, Dr. Chafee and those guys, Dr. Hampton. Yeah, I found Carrie from Homestead How, like, who is what Homestead How, what is this, and I saw what he was doing for Bill in Alaska. I love how he said this, Bill in Alaska, on his videos. He's just got this great story. And Bill subscribed to my channel, Matthew.
Awesome.
Bill, I'm like, I got Bill on my channel, what? Like, I love his story with his cat Daisy and all of that he's doing. I'm just rooting for that guy. Like, how can you not root for that guy?
Oh, me too.
Yeah. So anyway, but back to why I started my channel was because I was watching Carrie, and then I saw how he had inspired some other people to start their channels. And it's like, well, why can't I start a channel? I feel amazing. And I wanted to give back because of all those influencers like Kelly Hogan, like Laura Spath, and I feel like also the female perspective is, I don't know, less maybe prevalent than the male perspective in this space. Not that the male perspective isn't great, because it is, but I just thought we need more female voices. Like, there are us women out there eating like this, and we are, just getting these benefits too, and more of us just need to speak. And also, because my social anxiety was gone and I was feeling all this energy, I didn't know the first thing about YouTube or editing or I didn't know what a thumbnail even was, like, when I started this. And I said, well, I want to tell my story. Of course, I wish I would have started sooner, but I wasn't in the headspace to do it. I wish I would have started back in February and documented my, my weight loss and my diet, transformation. But, it didn't even occur to me to do that. Like, it wasn't even on my radar until Carrie talked about it. And he's like, if you're doing this and you're, make a channel, because that's what's going to spread spread it. And everybody's got their own story. And that's what's so powerful. Like, my story isn't the same as anybody else's stories. Like, it has similarities, to other people. And, when I talk about the mental health, I have to talk about that. Nobody could see inside my head. Nobody can experience what it was like to be me and then what it's like to be me now. Like, the only way they can know that I've experienced that or done that is for me to tell them. And so I'm just doing that, the best I can. I also feel like my niche is not the weight loss niche. Like, yes, I had some weight loss. Yes, I went down 2 sizes. I'm currently not attempting to lose any more weight or go down any more sizes, but I am attempting to optimize my body composition. I've never done that once in my life. I don't even really know how to do it, but I'm learning and I'm experimenting and I'm enjoying. I'm choosing, like, the challenges. I recommend anybody do a challenge, because on that 30-day sprint challenge, that was the first challenge I ever did in my life of, like, anything. And it wasn't just the physical benefits. Like, I would go outside. I saw the coolest stuff that I never would have seen. Like, one day I saw an owl and he flew through a street light and landed in a palm tree. And then he sat in that palm tree and he was like, whoo, at me as I was like sprinting by, like, what? And I find now that I'm on carnivore, like those things in the world stand out to me. Like the sunrises I saw over the mountains, where the mountains just look like these cardboard cutouts with the sun coming up. Like I wouldn't have noticed that, right? The hot air balloons. There's a couple days there was hot air balloons going up. So just those things that I got to witness, I just, and then just the, like the personal growth, I would say. So I'm going to continue on with challenges. And then I've got my InBody scale. I've got a doctor's appointment in a couple of weeks for blood work. I don't have any blood work. Like I have nothing to compare it to. So this will be my baseline. Oh, yeah. And I'm going to ask her if she can think of a way to get my insurance to pay for that DEXA scan. I really want to see, if not, I'm going to pay cash and get one, but I really want to see what that comparison is to my scale. So I've got all of these like things I want to do, and I want to put it on my channel because maybe that's going to help somebody. Like I didn't have, until I got hooked into Dr. Berry, that's how I found success, was getting into this community through that. And because I didn't know about nutrition, proper human diet, like I didn't even know what the possible benefits were. Like I just thought weight loss. That's the only thing I thought. Now that I've heard all these other people's stories, it's like, oh, you mean we can like heal inflammation? Like I didn't even know what inflammation was. Well, that's the reason everybody feels like their body's falling apart at 30, for one thing, you know? So it's like, it's just all the learning about just all of that. And then to feel that happening in myself, and it does affect everybody differently. So if I can tell people how that affected me, and the number of people, my channel is still small. I'm almost to 300 subs. I'm hoping to get it 300 soon. I'm at like 282. Come on, 300. That's my next goal. But the people that comment to me, like when you talked about, you know, whatever, like the social anxiety, or really what I've heard is the 20 pounds up and down and like starving, like never getting to that really obese stage. But like I could have, during my pregnancy, I gained 60 pounds because I was eating for two, man. And I use that as an excuse for sure, because then I didn't have to, then people couldn't say, oh, she's fat. No, she's pregnant. Right. And so, yeah, I did put on 60 pounds during my second pregnancy because yeah, all the stops were off. But anyway, but I've had people tell me like the whole yo-yo 20-pound thing, like you're describing me. Like they'll say that you could be describing me. And that's why I'm doing this, because we're not alone. Like we think we're alone, but we're not alone. And I just want to pay it forward because I got so much benefit to myself. Yeah.
Well, I hate to go, but I have another meetup with Rick from the 40-Year Carnivore.
Oh, the duck guy. Right?
Yeah.
I love him. Awesome. Well, tell him I said hello. I don't know if he knows who I am yet, but I've definitely seen him on JT. I've seen him commenting like in the chats of these lives. So tell him that Christy at Meeting Wellness says hello. And yeah, I want to schedule him on my channel too sometime.
Oh, I will let him know. I will.
Yeah, my email address is on my channel, so he can find me that way, or I'll go hunt him down.
Awesome.
Yeah, cool. Well, you have fun with that. This has been great. Send me the link. Yeah. We'll get this posted, and thank you so much for like agreeing to meet up with me. My whole thing is Meeting Wellness because it fits exactly what I'm doing. So thanks for meeting up.
Yes, and let's do it again sometime. Yeah.
Absolutely. This has been great.
Oh, fantastic. Be bold, everybody.
All right. Meet some wellness.
I like that.